Good morning, everyone. My name is Masumi Ono from UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and we are here to mark both the International Day of Families and the 30th anniversary of International Year of the Family. This event is also part of the expert group meeting convened by DESA, and I would like to welcome all participants and mission representatives from many countries. We see a lot of friends here and people we've worked with throughout the year, and so we're really excited to have you all this morning. We have delegations from all over and many actually watching the event via UN TV webcast. So welcome to you all. The theme of this event is families and climate change. And so this is a paperless meeting. You will find the concept note, agenda, and bio notes of speakers on our website. So please, if you have not yet looked at it already, and also allow me to limit my introduction of speakers to their names and titles. We have a truly amazing lineup of speakers. This meeting has two parts. The first part is, in the first part, we are launching two publications on home, families, and climate change. The first publication was developed in cooperation with the Nottingham University Home Renaissance Foundation and UNDESA. It will be presented by Professor Gamal Abdelmonem, the chair of in architecture and founding director of research, University of York. He could not be here in person, but we have him online, connected virtually. So if we could start with you, Professor, and if you could kindly keep your remarks to 15 minutes. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, meeting chair. Just allow me to share my slides. I hope you see my slides now.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, I wish to welcome everyone and good morning and thanks for having me today. It's a pleasure to be with you on such important occasion and event. I wish really to highlight that the collaboration that we have undertaken to produce this policy report in collaboration with Ms. Renata Kaczmarska on this program for the past 18 months. The report that we are launching today, Home, Family, and Climate Change, Understanding the Power of Home to Transform Societies in the Face of Climate Emergency, is a result of a collaborative work of 17 international experts and scholars from around the globe over a period of 2 years. Across 140 pages, 11 research papers, and case studies, the meeting have produced a series of policy recommendations across 6 research themes and policy strands through conversations, discussions, and meetings in Nottingham last September. We have produced executive summary for policymakers, international and intergovernmental organizations, and policy advocacy groups. I wish to start by highlighting the vision behind this report, which focus on we have one planet, one home, and we hope to reverse the clock of climate change. The report has been developed in line with and in response to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and 2015 Paris Agreement, as well as the Sustainable Development Goals, with the blueprint for development with SDG 13 focusing on climate action. It has actually developed based on the current gap of research and policy that looks more about the technical and economic sides of climate change, but largely overlooks the social and cultural factors in which family role take a central stage. It highlighted limited critical multidisciplinary research of how home and family are impacted directly by climate change, nor it has highlighted the change, of course, of how to reverse it. The report went beyond mitigation and adaptation strategies to include psychological theory and resilience structures to manage the impact of climate change. It offered positive approaches to environmental aspects of working from home and sustainable architecture design for homes and communities. It included a diverse and inclusive perspectives, insights, and case studies to introduce novel ideas, creative solutions, and policy recommendations. But it also highlights and addresses the risks of climate action change to the family as a key social, cultural, and economic unit. The lineup of the international experts offer a wonderful mix of perspectives, disciplines, professional backgrounds, and research cultures. For us as a group, it represented a critical transformation in our intellectual and cultural understanding of the central role of the family and home as a critical institutions to compact against climate change. To set its agenda, we highlighted what are the key objectives behind this report, which mainly trying to initiate an intellectual policy debate on how family and home can respond to climate action and cover diverse approach and contextual differences. We wanted to enable experts, both from practice and from professions and from academia, to deepen our understanding of the importance of home in the context of climate change and repositioning the home as a critical institution in building resilience and adaptive mechanism. We identified policy gaps in international and governmental frameworks that overlook the role of the family in such important situations. In order to develop this report, we highlighted key research questions that looked at the impact of consequences of climate change that affect families at home, but what are the gaps in current policies and how we can respond to them or shift our perception of policy frameworks to support homes and families in domestic settings. We have looked at the obstacles and challenges facing households, and we have incorporated new policy and actions frameworks. When identifying the key, in our effort to really identify the key contributions of the homes and families, we found that there are 6 fundamental and key aspects or perhaps strands that will enable the families and homes to actually contribute to the climate change agenda. Those have been identified as the care for the planet, looking at how we connect our perception of home and the planet as a shared natural resources and contribution to the agenda of climate change, but also how climate change is very fundamentally connected to public health, consumption and ecological footprint, and home-based work as a remote economy is critical in our perception of climate actions, connected localities and how we can connect net zero homes to neighborhoods while we have to build climate resilience. Here, I will identify the key policy context and some of the recommendations that our experts panels have really developed during our conversation and studies. The first looking at the care of the planet and through an expert panel that looked at the moral and ethical responsibilities towards the planet as a shared natural resources and how home as a fundamental societal unit really is connected to this shared resource of the planet. We have looked at how learning attitudes, behaviors towards combating climate change always start at the home. The concept of a planet as a common home must start in everyday behavior and collective and as individual homes, and it must also share everyday values as collective protection and survival. Climate justice here played a key role to really follow some connotations of right as duties that really links to every family in their homes. The panel just highlighted a key to policy recommendations in which public institutions, governments needs to prioritize families, homes, and households as fundamental and critical agents in learning, educating, and sharing concern about climate action, and where they can really inform lifelong climate choices as collective social unit. There needs to have policy innovations to look at resource opportunities and how we can provide funding schemes to support action like tax relief or to goes for impact and benefits on household to influence changing attitudes. Looking at climate action on public health, there has been substantial challenges looking at the way that is bottom-up approaches comes from families that are disconnected from governmental support and how they can self-organize to really respond to some substantial changes as we have seen during COVID-19. But also we have studied some challenges facing government when they try to communicate messages to support, to connect climate national targets about climate change to individual families. Adaptation lifestyles in preparation for risk and scarcity will always be unpopular at times of economic and social stability, but it's important to note the hierarchical structure of climate action disconnects families' daily objectives from the challenges of the governments. To respond to that challenge, we have those kind of situations and contexts. We have highlighted some policy recommendations that look that governments need to really look deeper into prioritizing modeling and reinforce positive behaviors by supporting local practical projects and initiatives supported by simple and accessible training for families, but also how they work with the regional and community real boundaries and ecosystem for change can support families and connect the political messages and national targets to the everyday life of every family and household. We need to empower community level and family-centered approach to local responsibilities to help them to find realistic self-sufficiency and carbon neutrality actions. In this sense, we have to really position the family as a central active agents to share certain targets and community level responsibility in order to drive their own behavioral change. Under the strand of consumption and ecological footprint, we have looked how the energy consumption and carbon emission at home represents 50% of the total energy consumption by people in their homes. And small actions like opening windows or cooking equipment or devices and other similar energy-heavy machinery at home could really contribute large portions of carbon emissions. But small actions like installing smart meters, altering domestic devices, and becoming energy aware matter a lot and then can contribute on the large scale of how many households and families globally can influence change and reach larger results in this sense. Grand policies that look at energy markets or transportations on large scale sometimes are not flexible enough to achieve the smaller objectives of household transitions to green choices. It was important to highlight that practicing small behavioral adjustments towards sustainable living at home will have achieved a large-scale impact on the national and international levels. Policy recommendations here focus on how we really position our policies and support mechanisms to develop and inform place-based and context-aware that looks at inspiration models for sustainable living. Families are here the main agents for change, and whatever they need on the local context, which differs from one country to another or from culture to another, are the key aspects of achieving our ultimate targets of combating or limiting the impact of climate change. Major policies such as transportation infrastructures and green technology must be integrative and complementary to household imaginative and needs. Under connected localities, we looked at how studying socially inclusive developments and housing developments must position community-based design and participatory principles as a central action plan for any new housing developments. Key to that is just how to manage the resources and self-sufficiencies at the local level, managing a connected localities model where people and places unite to become net zero by default. Measures to ensure equity in energy schemes with a focus on to develop whole life adaptations as a standard rather than exception is key to this extent. Older people have been growing in representations on modern societies, and hence their connecting their living independently targets and social support could really create a huge contribution to us in terms of limiting the impact of climate change and providing a new lifestyle to which we can really meet the quality of life indicators connected to climate and environmental impact. Policy recommendations here look at climate emergency as a key driver for housing schemes and how to develop adaptive place-based support system. Governments needs also to reinforce relational model for lived neighborhoods and integrate natural and social interest, as well as combating climate change through connected home schemes and families. Under building climate resilience, we looked at how educational models need to influence young people and professionals to develop new models for nature integrated housing designs and architecture and spaces. Schools, which places young people learn and develops their own knowledge, must have an effective and collaborative environment to teach them and educate them about the importance of climate change as a way of life. We have looked at how to learn through living environments rather than just focusing only on the intellectual and theoretical studies. Hence, we have recommended that professional bodies look at learning spaces as laboratories for ecological living and as a carbon neutral and socially active environments. Learning by living should be the model for education. Finally, with the importance of remote economy and home-based work, we have looked at the critical importance of equal access to technology and internet and for information, safety and security, and it's becoming a critical source of work. There is a predominance for online communications and internet, and there is a kind of harms and impact on young people, hence we have to be alert to that effect. Yet there must be acknowledgement that this is as becoming essential knowledge in times of emergencies, and it's becoming critical infrastructures. International organizations must recognize access to internet and information technology as human right, especially at times of climate impact and emergencies and disasters, and its infrastructure must be there to support families at home. Finally, I wish to conclude that is actually the research that we have undertaken have highlighted critical importance and shared goals across different governments and contexts. The role of home as critical institution is critical to our collective action to combat climate change. The family must be activated as agents of change, and there must be suitable resources, investment, and infrastructure to support that effort. Internet and online information have become critical commodities, but they have to be acknowledged as human rights for all. Finally, I wish to thank everyone who have contributed to this report and policy recommendations, and a lot of organizations that have taken part to support our activities. Thank you so much, and I hope that I have really concluded in the right time frame.
Thank you, Professor Abdelmonem. A very condensed version of a very rich publication, putting family and home as a resource that contributes to climate action, and putting forth the concept of planet as a common home. And you've addressed so many various ways to address the challenges to connect families' daily objectives and local action with national targets. So thank you very much. Now we'll go to the second publication, and this will be presented by my dear colleague, Renata Kazmarska, Focal Point on the Family. Really, everything that we do on family issues, she is the backbone of it. So here we are.
Thank you very much, Masumi, for these kind words. As you know, for the past 3 years, we have been launching background papers on the megatrends, right? The megatrends that guide the preparation for the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. So we started with technological changes, then we continued with urbanization and migration, and then last year we had demographic changes. I'm happy to say that the authors of those papers are here with us as well. Now we are launching the fourth paper in the series on megatrends, which is the paper on climate change and families. So I would like to present to you our UN DESA intern, Ms. Bebin Girand, and she will present the paper, who was authored by Lena Dominelli from University of Stirling in the United Kingdom.
Hello. And my slides need to come up. Okay. So the paper emphasizes the effects of climate change on families, focusing on mitigation, adaptation, and contributions to the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly focusing on Sustainable Development Goal 12 and 13, which are responsible consumption and production, and climate actions. The paper also explores the connection between these two SDGs and SDGs 1 through 5. It provides locality-specific and culturally relevant recommendations for policymakers and practitioners to better engage families. And by leveraging the collective support system that families have, we can begin to bridge the knowledge-behavior gap. To better support families pre- and post-disaster, social mechanisms must be deconstructed and transformed to alleviate suffering in family and individual lives. The effects of climate change disasters on families is influenced by factors including geographic location, socioeconomic status, disaster type and response, culture, family composition and size, resources, social connections, and government structures. As pointed out in the paper, wealthier families will have access to more resources for mitigation, while poorer families and countries face greater challenges due to limited resources and also increased vulnerability to climate impacts. With research gaps evident in intersectional studies examining the impacts on vulnerable groups, it's particularly important to invest in these areas to understand how to assist these families better. The examination of existing power dynamics within intergenerational relationships, such as those between parent and child and grandchild, is crucial to understand the child and youth involvement and agency in decision-making processes related to climate change and resource distribution. Intergenerational relations often exhibit hierarchies, with adults holding power and agency over children and young people, leading to adultism, where ultimate decision-making authority remains with the adults. Familial structures where youth make independent decisions as protagonists are much less common. And despite recent headlines in publicity for declines in publicity for youth collective action and concerns from parents about its impact on education, with kids missing school to strike, youth activism has spurred many countries to engage in climate-friendly initiatives, leading to recognition of the crisis and efforts to reduce fossil fuel dependency. There are 17 SDGs and 163 targets within them. The goals are embedded in 3 pillars of sustainable development: economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. The goal is to create a more sustainable planet where no one is left behind. The value orientation of the SDGs provides an opportunity to address asymmetries within the family and facilitate the realization of women's equality in some areas of their lives. Women are really important to climate action and realizing the goals, as they are more aware of eco-grief, including among their children and family members, and this may lead to women focusing on providing safe and healthy food and environments to their children to be raised in. Co-production will be essential in developing relevant policies to address climate-induced mental health concerns among young people and reducing death, injuries, internal displacements, and homelessness caused by disasters. Co-production of these community projects is a way to achieve carbon reduction goals, engage in climate action, and repair climate damage while preventing further degradation. Goals such as net zero by 2050, food and income security, and biodiversity protection are all areas that families can make an impact in through their involvement in climate action. These goals cannot be achieved without the involvement of every family globally, and it would require some families, especially those in the global north, to confront and substantially reduce their excessively high carbon footprints. When drafting policies and strategies, policymakers should consider that different family members will have different needs based on a variety of factors that are familial and individual. These will, of course, require differentiated responses. Global partnerships with families to increase cooperation and collaboration efforts will be critical to realize the goals of the SDGs and the 2030 Agenda. Families ultimately need their governments to provide security so that they can effectively contribute to tackling the climate crisis and engage in solidarity efforts. In terms of practitioners, they can play a significant role in educating families on climate change, SDGs risks, mitigation, environmental protection, and lobbying skills, as well as facilitating family enjoyment of nature for recreational purposes. This is a brief summary of the findings and discussion. I will go into more detail in the following slides, so I'm not going to go over this. Families can contribute to climate action through roles as educators, consumers, and advocates. And families can help each other strengthen commitments and adaptive capacities through global solidarities and relationships. By examining and learning from indigenous families, for example, and their values, we can recreate and strengthen the relationship between humans and the planet as stewards of sustainability and protectors of natural resources. By supporting the 9 R's and raising awareness, families can actively engage in informal and formal education and contribute to the important and necessary transition to a circular economy. A few factors that can be considered when rethinking is the need for a product, the waste generated by a product or activity, will there be continued use of a product, and the proper disposal to limit environmental harm. By reducing the number of products and services, families can increase efficiency by consuming fewer natural resources and materials and also reduce waste. If products are designed well to begin with, they can last longer, and therefore families won't have to constantly buy new products as they break or as manufacturers bring new products into the market. This will lead to significantly less waste and resource use. Families can close the loop by buying products that can still be used but were discarded by others, and by educating their children about this reuse through secondhand shopping, families can actually foster excitement with their children, and these practices can be instilled throughout their life and then carried through generations. So instead of buying replacement products, families can repair the ones they already own whenever possible to prolong the lifespan. And by refurbishing products and restoring them, old and out-of-date products can be brought up to date instead of purchasing new ones. By advocating for companies to reuse parts from discarded or defunct products, they can produce new ones with the same function without constantly producing new parts. And this photograph is of Apple's factory, and they're an example of a company that does have a recycling program to produce new products. And by setting the example of recycling at home and educating their children about the benefits, kids can educate their peers and pass lessons throughout the generations. By repurposing, families can use discarded items to create an item with a different function. Here we can see cans reused for planters and a microwave used as a library, which can also facilitate the function of educating the community. And we found one more R through our own research, which is also relevant by refusing to buy products that cannot be reused or recycled, and also not buying products that they don't need, families can support sustainability and waste reduction. They are also engaging in voting with their wallet by showing companies the values that are important to them, influencing shifts in product design. Besides fostering environmentally friendly behaviors at home, parents and caregivers can advocate for the inclusion of climate change in the school curricula throughout the child's life. And families can act as lobbyists and protectors by demanding public policies that endorse and support renewable energy usage and sustainable physical environments. They can also demand family impact assessments of policies and practices linked to climate change. To achieve SDG 12, families can support renewable energy-based patterns of production. They can harness their power as consumers and only use sustainable products and services. And this is a quick recap of the major points that were covered throughout the presentation. Excuse me. Families have incredibly significant roles to play as implementers of the SDGs because they are crucial in the lives of most individuals throughout the world. They can advocate for necessary resources such as funding, enforcing sustainable methods of production and consumption, reducing carbon footprint, enhancing physical and mental health, and enjoying nature-based recreation. Families provide psychological support to deal with emotions and traumas that climate change can generate, as well as social support through social capital and networks to access further resources to mitigate impacts. Families can socialize the next generation through intergenerational relationships, consciousness raising about climate change, and formal and informal education. Through their families, individuals have access to resources like food, money, housing, healthcare, and non-governmental services transcending generational divides. And this is the end of my presentation. Families are rooted in geographic space, namely the locality of their community, and this grounding helps them to find locality-specific and culturally relevant adaptations across the climate change disaster cycle. Thank you.
Thank you, Renata and Chista. Chista has been a real asset to our small team, especially on this topic, climate change and families, which is a relatively new area. You've highlighted, the importance of intergenerational relationships, youth activism, co-producing of policies, and educating families on the 9 Rs. One thing you mentioned, which Professor Abdullah Monem also mentioned, was the notion that no one size fits all, that we need a diverse approach depending on context. So please do consult the 2 papers. They are available on our website. As we have many speakers, maybe at the end of the session, if we can have a Q&A, depending on the time that we have. We would now move on to the second part of the event, which focuses on the preparations that took place over the course of the year on international, and more actually, on International Year of the Family, 30th anniversary. We thank all of you for being here to showcase all the work that took place through regional expert group meetings and awareness-raising events, as well as good practices from around the world. So please limit your remarks to 5 minutes if you can. I would like to first start with Mr. Irwan Nazif bin Mahpool, researcher at the Population and Family Research Division, National Population and Family Development Board of Malaysia. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, for today's meeting, I will share our experience in developing the Family Wellbeing Index for the country, and also the outcome of the EGM on families and megatrend that we held in last February in Putrajaya, Malaysia. Okay, a bit introduction on the Malaysian Family Wellbeing Index, in short, MFWBI. The first index was initiated in 2011 by the National Population and Family Development Board, Malaysia, with the aim to measure the level of family well-being in the country and also to recommend strategic initiatives to strengthen the implementation of future family intervention programs in Malaysia. Before 2011, there was no single measurement that can reflect the well-being of families in our country. as we believe that measuring family well-being is important, as family is a basic social unit that provides human capital for the country. In 2011, we have introduced 7 domains in the instrument for measuring the Family Wellbeing Index. And later in 2016, the measurement of the index was repeated using an improvised instrument. The 2016 index had maintained all the 7 domains that we introduced in 2011 series and added 1 more domain to make it in total 8 domains. The instrument refinement exercise was repeated again in 2019 and also 2022 in order to measure the family well-being. The purpose of the refinement exercise was to ensure that the questionnaire or the instrument was valid and also relevant for current and the near future. Okay, these are the 4 series of our index, Family Wellbeing Index. The first 2011 index has started, as I mentioned just now, with 7 diverse domains, namely family relationship domain, family economy domain, family health domain, family and community engagement domain, role of religion and spiritual practice domain, housing and environment domain. As we can see on the slide, the number of indicators for the 2011 index was 23 indicators with a total of 74 items. In the 2011, we have interviewed about 2,800 respondents, which were the parents who have children aged 3 to 24 years. The index recorded in 2011 was 7.55 out of 10 maximum scale. The 2016 index was repeated using the improvised instrument. The 2016 index has maintained all the 7 domains in the 2011 and added 1 more domain, which was the family and communication technology domain. The number of items had increased to 93 items, and we have interviewed almost 3,900 respondents or parents who have children aged 3 to 24 years. Then the index score recorded in 2016 was 7.32. The instrument refinement exercise was repeated again in 2019 and also 2022. In total, both of the 2019 and 2022 index had equal number of domain and indicators. They have 8 domains and with 22 indicators. Then the index recorded was 7.72 and also 7.93 respectively out of maximum score of 10. And we have also interviewed more than 5,000 parents throughout the country for this index measuring. Okay, these are the main steps involved in every instrument refinement exercise that we have conducted. We will have an extensive literature review, focus group discussion with selected families, and also we have expert group workshop and meetings. As a result, these are the domains and also the indicators that we use in the recent 2022 index. We have family relationship domain, which consists of indicators parental involvement, quality time with family, family attachment, and so forth. We have a family economy domain, consists of indicators for financial well-being and also financial management. We have family health domain. There are 2 indicators in the domain. Family safety, 2 indicators for that domain. Family and community engagement domain, we have indicators to measure cooperation in community and also relationship in community. For the role of religion and spiritual practice domain, we have 2 indicators, role of religion and also spiritual practice. For housing and environment domain, we have 3 indicators, residential area, environmental cleanliness, and also level of pollution. And the last domain, family and communication technology domain, we have two indicators: digitalization and parental control. Okay, these are the 4 types of questions that we use in measuring our family well-being. We have first we have behavior or practice type question that we use to measure indicators like parental involvement, quality time with family, work-family balance, and family attachment, and so forth. We have also belief type question that we use to measure specifically on family resilience, financial well-being, family safety, general health, role of religion, residential area, and digital utilization. And there are 2 more, which are knowledge type question and also attitude type question. Okay, these are the sample of question that we use for indicator quality time with family indicators and also financial management indicators. As we can see that all the question or items that we use in measuring our family well-being is more family-oriented statement. Like for instance, for quality of time with family, we have 4 indicators. First item is we have a good bond among the family members. The second, we can rely on each others when facing problems. Third, we can discuss about our concern. And also the last item, I feel very confident and safe when I'm together with my family. And all the respondents should answer need to answer using a 5-point scale format, which 1 referring to strongly disagree and 5 to strongly agree. Okay, these are the score. The scores from the first to the last series. In general, as we can see, the index score has get increased since 2016. The number of domain with scores above 8 has increased over years. And the family and communication technology domain recorded a big increase in score during the recent, which is the 2022 index. Okay, we are very grateful when the federal government of Malaysia use our index score as the national KPI in the country's 5-year development plan. Due to that, we are consistently receiving a fund from the federal government up to 1 million Malaysian ringgit to do the measurement. Other than that, starting last year, we also got a fund of 2 million Malaysian ringgit every year to do mass campaign and also advocacy programs related to family in order to increase and later maintain the well-being of our families. Okay, a total of 13 experts from the South Korea, China, Nepal, Japan, India, Thailand, Qatar, and also Malaysia had gathered for 2 days on 28 and 29 February 2024 in Putrajaya, Malaysia, to participate in the expert group meeting on families and megatrend, which was jointly organized by the UNDESA, IFFD, NDV, and also the MPFDB Malaysia. At the end of the EGM, there are 25 recommendations successfully produced, which can be grouped into 5 main themes, namely demographic change, technological change, urbanization, international migration, and also climate change. For the recommendation, there are 4 recommendations in demographic change theme, which intend to support family formation and cohesion, raise awareness on fertility decline issues, empower family economy, and also recognize population aging issues. There are 5 recommendations on technological change, which intend to promote active aging, increase family accessibility to the technology, educate on digital crimes, and also establish fund to the underprivileged population. And there are 3 recommendations on the urbanization, which intend to address housing needs, integrate technology in housing, and also increase utilization of local sources. There are 7 recommendations on the international migration teams, which intend to discourage the disintegration of families, embrace family-friendly approach, and reduce concentration in the cities. And the last, there are 6 recommendations on climate change, which intend to promote sustainable and green development, develop family-friendly cities, and making the 3R as a way of life and educate on disasters. To conclude, since the Malaysian Family Wellbeing Index is very localized to our country, we are looking forward for the UN agency to take a lead to this global family wellbeing measuring exercise by probably develop a new universal and also robust instrument in the coming future for the member state to use. We are also excited to be part of the development team. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience on this very interesting initiative, and I'm sure we'll have questions, but we'll hold off on that till the end. And now we will go to Ms. Sharifa Emadi, Executive Director of Doha International Family Institute. Madam, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me here today in the 15th of May, the International Day of the Family. And I will try to just focus to 5 minutes. So since 2019, we preparing for the International Day of the Family by implementing different AGM in the region with focusing on the 4 megatrends that Renata talked about it. So we try to tackle all the regions, and I will talk about the 2 of them, just brief, and I will let Ignacio to finish with other AGMs, because we are working with in this AGMs with our like partner, UNDESA and IFFD, and we focus to have a regional partner also with us. There is like many AGM we already implemented in 2023 and 2024, like Cairo, Middle East, New York. We try to work with our partners in the side events and these 4 megatrends from 2019. Pretoria, South Africa, which I will talk about it in a brief, until 2023. Mexico, also with our partner here, and Kuala Lumpur, as my colleague talked about it. And end of this May, inshallah, will be in Sydney, Australia. So the AGM in Egypt was focusing on the Middle East and the technology changes and the family in the Arab region, with our partners, as I said, UNDESA and United Nations Population Fund in the Arab state region, and League of Arab State in Cairo, Egypt, focusing on technology, as I said, change and the family in the Arab region. If you will say that focusing in 4 megatrends, but the four megatrends already, you cannot discuss each one alone. It's all to come together. So most of the AGM was focusing in one part, like in Egypt, in technology, but we're bringing parenting, we're bringing marriage and other like megatrends that it's all matching together, and issues and challenges that all these regions is facing. So the focus in this AGM was positive and negative impact of technology, as we know, digital parenting programs, the importance of technology in supporting work-family balance, focusing on the elderly through assistive technology, violence and cyberbullying, digital addiction, and its impact on marital parenting relationship. The outcomes, I will not go through all of this, but we know that family recognize the family as the agent of sustainable development and prioritize the social development through effectiveness family-oriented policies at the national level, expand families' access to information technology, and develop family capabilities, especially after COVID-19 and the challenges that all the countries face, and that develop parenting education programs and focusing on children, protect them from violence and cyberbullying. Also, invest in assistive technology to provide better care for older person, and develop a monitoring and following up mechanism with regards to the family fertility data and population dynamics, conduct study on the impact of COVID-19 on fertility behavioral trends, and we are working with Legal of Arab State in this project, and maybe the result will be presented in our International Year of the Family celebration. Invest on impact of assessment research to evaluate family policies. The other AGM I would like to shed the light on, which is on change, the demographic change and family well-being in Africa, which was with our colleague, University of Pretoria. I don't know if they are here presented. Yeah, thank you very much, because it was very interesting. It was too much discussion, and Pretoria already we discussed many things. It's not just like the focus with one mega trend. So the focus was improve the use of existing migration platform to coordinate information and data sharing to inform policymakers, suggest policies for work-family balance, enhance traditional family system of parenting by integrating a new means of supporting family. Support communities with new technology accesses and training. We have also, focus and invest in research agenda, family well-being, migration, divorce, and other relevant issues that impact on family. Develop culturally adapted parenting educational programs. So many like discussion, and all these discussion we will take it and we'll discuss it in our International Year of Family conference that we will hold it and Doha, inshallah. It's focusing on, as I said, in the 4 mega trends: demographic changes, urbanization and international migration, technology changes, climate changes, and will be on 29th to 31st of October. The first day will be Youth Summit, then the main conference in 30 and 31 with like youth-led sessions. There is Arabic session also in Doha, QNCC, which is a big place. We hope everyone will join us. Expecting 2,000 audience. Speaker will be more than 100. Session will be more than 30 sessions discussing all these mega trends with different subjects, targeting audience leaders, academics, policymakers, practitioners, NGOs, youth, and the session will be a parallel session. Children friendly zone. I saw a child there, so they are welcome to come because we have a zone for them, so you can bring your family. I don't know where is the child went. Yeah, because it's very important to bring all the family together. So expect family counseling, also expert family counseling speakers, voice of wisdom, community space. There's DeFi Cafe, we can discuss, so the discussion will be not all in the session. We can go and talk about different issues related to family in DeFi Cafe. There is a closed round tables, TED Talk format. There is personal story and debates format. Everyone is welcome to attend this conference, and there is here the registration. You can register. And thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about our conference this year.
Thank you for sharing a very succinct summary of the 2 EGMs and also for giving us a preview of the international conference. We very much look forward to participating. Oh, there's a short video. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Did we want to play the video? Yes.
What does family mean to you? Does it mean safety or kinship? Does it mean stability in a constantly changing world? Or shelter when homes cease to exist? Are you able to connect with your family? And stay connected? What role do changing family structures play in the future of our societies? And how can we protect, support, and empower our families? Together, we'll find the answers, create solutions, and celebrate the strength of family through it all. Over the last 2 decades, the state of Qatar has proudly hosted the International Year of the Family Conference, and the legacy will continue on with the Doha International Family Institute, organizing a global conference in 2024 to commemorate the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family.
Thank you for the beautiful video, and we really value the incredible work of Her Highness Sheikh Moza in this area. Thank you. We will now go to Mr. Ignacio Socias, Director of International Relations, International Federation for Family Development. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Masumi. And there are so many friends here that I will spend the 5 minutes saying hello, so please excuse me for not doing it. Several years ago, we participated in the Families and Societies project funded by the European Union. It was the largest study ever conducted on families in Europe. We observed how some governments provide significant support to families while others offer less, how certain countries maintain strong family traditions while most are undergoing very significant changes. This insight enabled us to organize the expert group meeting on population aging and family well-being in Europe. We organized 1 year ago as part of this series with our partners, DFI and others. This allowed us how to see why families are changing, how migration can temporarily help balance out the population, how to ensure the pension systems in Europe and the long-term caregivers, and how to encourage cooperation. The meeting also showed that spending more money on family-friendly policies doesn't always lead to more babies being born, leaving the door open for more research among generations, and how to prevent loneliness, social exclusion, and child poverty. Additionally, we have delved into the impact of climate change on European families. We gathered groups of students from various European universities, and they arrived to very clear conclusions that were presented at the European Parliament last January the 31st. These conclusions showed how climate change is causing some individuals to reconsider their decision to have children. And furthermore, it is evident that climate change is adversely affecting mental health, even among those who have not directly experienced its effects. So these two events represent just two examples of the 28 events we have organized during the preparations of today in 14 different countries, as I say, with DIFI, with UNDESA, and with other partners. And before I conclude, let me just show a very short video where you can have an idea of what they have been. And this is my final public speech before stepping down from the position as Director of International Relations of IFFD. I want to confirm that our role in the United Nations can only be understood as a collaborative effort, because the UN remains the only place where all the people on Earth can gather together, discuss common problems, and find shared solutions, which is what we're doing today, actually. And before I finish, of course, let me thank all the UN staff that have collaborated with us during these years, and express my gratitude to them with no exception. Naturally, I must mention Renata Kasmarska, whose tireless efforts for the objectives of the International Year have guided us. And now I believe that my replacement relies on good hands with Alex Vázquez. All of you have known him well enough to be sure that he will continue to show the same hard work and the same empathy. So I congratulate him on this new step, and I thank you all for your interest, reminding that while I will continue to work for IFFD on advocacy training activities, I remain at your disposal for what you may need, or just for having a coffee together, even if it is online. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ignacio, for the long-standing partnership. And we're not going to let you go that easily. So we look forward to continuing our cooperation. Next, we have Ms. Vivian Liu, professor at the University of Hong Kong and representative of the Consortium of Family Institutes in Asia. You have the floor, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I'm representing the Consortium of Institute on Family in the Asia region, in short form, CIFAR. Actually, CIFAR, since our establishment, we are very much devoted to multi-sector collaboration and raising awareness on family well-being, also to understand and advocate for change through multi-sector collaborated activities, and also try to exchange and empower, strengthening the network and building capacity for the professionals. And also, we really wish that we can be a very significant part in Asia to contribute to sustainable development that advocated by the United Nations. So first of all, of course, we are very honored to organize an expert group meeting on demographic change and aging of population in Asia that in late 2023 in Hong Kong. And you can see that we have multi-sectors join us, and also with multi-background of academics, practitioners, and also civic organizations. So upon all these discussions, we find actually Asia is very diversified. So we cannot say, okay, Asia is aging or Asia is not aging, because on the one hand, we have the oldest most aging society, that Japan in Asia, and also Hong Kong as well. But on the other hand, we still have some countries are very young. So in terms of that, we do have to embrace the diversity. And also we fully understand that Asia countries, I think all the global world have highly impacted by the COVID-19. And we discuss a bit on how each of our region or country or community can recover, have a very innovative recovery roadmap, not only from the top down, but also from the bottom up, as all advocated by different regions. In specific, we think that ageism, anti-ageism, and also age friendliness are two of the most important issues under this demographic change. Of course, the multi-sector partnership becomes not only a slogan, but also a real practice that can promote the good practices in the community. So we discuss a lot of how age-friendly community can be promoted through these multi-sector partnership. And of course, on the other hand, we do have some traditional challenges, for example, the poverty among the old population and also families that of old population, and also how we can enable an environment and innovation so that demographic change would have minimalized the impact on aging and aging families, and also families with all ages. So, and then on the other hand, we are very active to promote family well-being. So just yesterday, we had quite a large-scale campaign that on Family We Time, and then we have a short video to share. Thank you. Video, please.
The regional campaign on Family We Time aims to promote family values and the importance of spending quality time and happy moments together with families for building family resilience, especially in the post-pandemic era. Families are invited to submit family photos and coloring pieces, which will be shown in the photo gallery for sharing. With the collaborative efforts of like-minded people, the campaign has garnered responses and support from 33 organizations across 18 countries in Asia-Pacific region, including Brunei, Cambodia, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Japan, Jordan, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Nepal, the Philippines, Singapore, South Korea, Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, and Vietnam, with around 5,000 family photos and coloring pieces. Photos collected have been compiled into a collage using the emblem of the International Day of Families to echo the celebration of IYF +30 as promulgated by the United Nations.
Yes, so after that, we have another big call call for join us on December the 27th to 29th, 2024. We have an Asia Family Summit that will be held in Hong Kong. So welcome. We are all covered the 4 grand challengers, and then maybe after Doha, just come to Hong Kong. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing the insights from the EGM in Asia and highlighting the multicultural and multi-sectoral aspects of it. And we look forward to seeing you all in Hong Kong in December. Now we go to Mr. Juan Antonio López Baljarg, Director General of the Instituto Análisis de Política Familiar. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. My name is Juan Antonio López Baljar. I'm director of the Institute for Family Policy Analysis in Mexico, a civil society organization that researches, designs, and implements public policy with a family perspective, recognizing the family as a key agent for sustainable development. On October 2023, we organized a Latin American expert group meeting in preparation for the anniversary of the International Year of the Family in collaboration with the United Nations Department of Economical and Social Affairs, UNDESA, with the International Federation for Family Development, IFFD, and the Doha International Family Institute, DIFI. The theme of this meeting was Megatrends and Families, Demographic Changes and Focus in the Megatrends in Mexico and Latin America, and was held at the Senate of Mexico. We analyzed 5 demographic changes. First, recognition of unpaid work and shared responsibility at home, with the participation of Simone Cecchini from the Economic Commission for Latin American and Caribbean, ECLAC, and Gabriela Marquez from the International Labor Organization. They concluded that integrating work and family is the biggest challenge for women to enter and advance in the labor market. It's necessary for the state and the private sector to promote care systems and the rights of workers with a family responsibilities. Second, fertility, mortality, and family dynamics, with the participation of Fernando Pliego from the National Autonomous University of Mexico and Francisco Solís from the Institute for Family Policy Analysis. They concluded that increase in life expectancy and decrease in fertility in Latin America are modifying the structure, functions, and resources of the families. Diagnoses and policies that support families must be carried out. Third, youth transitions and labor inclusion, with the participation of Pablo Glusman from National University of La Plata, Argentina, and Enrique Peláez from the National Council and Technical Research of Argentina. They concluded that 1 of 5 young people in Latin America are outside the educational system and without work. with significant increase in 2020 during the pandemic. It's necessary to establish policies to reduce youth employment with family perspective. Fourth, early childhood, parenting education, and positive parenting with the participation of Dana Alcalot from DIFI and Alejandra Mendoza from Institute for Family Policy Analysis. They concluded that parents play a crucial role in human development during early childhood. A culture of work-family balance through work flexibility, parental leave, and parental education is essential to allow parents to establish strong relationships throughout childhood. And fifth, international migration, with the participation of Elizabeth Thomas Hope from the University of West Indies, Jamaica, and Simar Aparicio from the Federal University of Espírito Santo, Brazil. They concluded that the migration in Latin America has social and emotional consequences on the structure and functionality of families. Migration must be studied with a family perspective, as families are primary agents of social integration in the host country. I want to congratulate Renata Kaczmarska, focal point for the family at the United Nations, for promoting and supporting the actions carried out by family-oriented entities around the world. I also want to thank IFFD for their advice and DIFI for supporting the organization of the EGM in Mexico. Moreover, I would like to recognize the mayors, ministers, congresswomen, businesswomen, and civil society organizations from Mexico who promote family perspective in the public and private sectors. I believe that together we can promote a sustainable family visions at the global, regional, and national levels and make it reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing the insights from Latin American EGM and for really giving this comprehensive overview of the issues that were discussed there. Next, we have Ms. Donna Butt, Executive Director of Generations United. You have the floor.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you, Masumi, Renata. It's an honor to be here with you today to share the results of an expert meeting that we held prior to the Generations United Global Conference last summer, very much focused on the mission of our organization, which is to value people at all ages and stages of life, and to recognize the changing role that older adults in particular play as members of families. I'm delighted that many of the experts that were able to join us are here and around the room and around the table today. Thank you for joining us. But in particular, I wanted to acknowledge and thank another Kaczmarska, Magda, who is one of the Generations United's UN representatives and was responsible for really organizing the meeting and writing the final report. So we're very grateful to you. So what was the purpose and why did we conduct this symposium? Really, it was to focus on the changing demographics in the country and the role that older adults are playing in families. As non-traditional families headed by relatives, grandparents, other relatives, they're usually not considered in public policy as well as practice. We know that older adults, that our population is aging, and oftentimes that's looked at as a problem, as an issue, and older adults in need of care, whereas we really know that oftentimes those older adults are the givers of care. They're taking care of families. They're playing a very important and significant role in the extended family. One of the elements that was really important to us at our symposium was to include the voices of lived experience, people who either were raised by their grandparents or the relatives, or people who are raising grandchildren or related. And I think we all found that they added so much of a richness and a real world perspective to that meeting, to our discussions and to our findings. We had 3 grandparents and 2 grandchildren that were able to join us. We came away with 9 recommendations that I'll just briefly highlight for you in the interest of time, and then I'll encourage you to download the full report if you've not had a chance to do that yet. But of our recommendations, most important was to really think about policy from a life course perspective. Too often we think about policy separately for children, for older adults, for families, whereas in fact it's that lifespan and it's all inclusive. So to really look at how we can strengthen our policy making as well as our programmatic work and service provision by thinking of it with an all generations lens. To expand social insurance and encourage the interdependence of generations. Recognizing that changing demographics do need to impact those programs and policies so that they're inclusive of non-traditional families. Celebrating the diversity globally. We know that there's not one solution that is one fit. It's very important that we respect different cultures and that we celebrate that diversity, that's a part of our global strength. To prioritize including those that are usually underrepresented, so their voices are involved. To make sure that we are promoting multi-generational housing options and community development, community building that incorporates people of all generations. We also believe that multi-generational households, has been touched on today, is really a global or a green solution. In America, we've seen our numbers of multi-generational families increase dramatically, and what we're trying to do now is just change that perception, realizing that interdependence is a strength. It's mobilizing different campaigns to address and tackle the issues, to increase the data collection, so that we know more about the families, the family policy, and the impact on different generations. And then in conclusion, one of the things that we discussed at the symposium is really to trust families, to trust their voices, to trust their perspectives, to let them weigh in when we're talking about them, which is one of the wonderful things about when we talk about lived experience is everyone in this room has lived experience of some kind and brings that as well as their expertise that they bring. We don't believe that governments around the globe are necessarily prepared to address the changing demographics, and it's something that we need to be sure to do. And then, as I mentioned, infusing that intergenerational lens is really, really critical when we think about policy. And one quick example I would give you is from the US, where in the 1980s, we passed a law about child abuse and protecting children. It took 34 years to pass an elder abuse law. So had we been thinking about it from a lifespan perspective, we could have addressed those at one time versus waiting for that kind of lag. So in closing, I want to say thank you again for those who participated and all of the good work that people have done in this room. Encourage you to download the report and stay in touch with us as you're thinking about policies from that all-generation perspective. Thank you.
Thank you for highlighting the multi-generational life course perspective and the importance of reflecting voices of lived experiences. Next, we have Mr. Dominic Richardson, Managing Director of Learning for Wellbeing Institute in the Netherlands. You have the floor, sir.
Voice, pollen is my enemy right now. I'm suffering from trouble with that. I'm privileged to speak on behalf of Dr. Rosario Esteno. We were in attendance for her meeting in January this year as part of the activities of the International Year of the Family, plus 30, at the Center for Research and Higher Studies in Social Anthropology in Mexico City. It was a conference undertaken in collaboration with the Focal Points of the Family and with UNDESA, and it was entitled Parenting Care, Family Work Balance and Family Policies. And Rosario has provided a note which explains more of what was done and found and the recommendations in detail. Speakers at the meeting came from Central and South America, as well as the United States, the United Kingdom, as well as international organizations. And the expert group there discussed progress and challenges in relation to parenting, care services, the distribution of family responsibilities, and family policies in the Latin American and Caribbean region. With more detail, the expert group discussed parenting in new family forms, gender inequalities and family responsibilities and care, child development in vulnerable contexts, and the balance of public expenditures on family policies and family-friendly policies with a bit of a focus on universal child benefits. Evidence showed some very common challenges to many regions of the world, certainly in relation to gender issues and the lack of social protection and more, and new family forms, but some unique findings included that children who are being parented in new family forms, including those from assisted reproductive technologies and diverse sexual orientations and gender identities, generally do as well as those in conventional families. The issue here is about capacity and love, rather than the traditional or new family form differences. The distribution of family responsibilities in Mexico particularly showed persistence in gender inequality, with working mothers being responsible for domestic care and care work on top of contributing to the family income. And in Mexico, as well as in other countries, an increase in the demand for elder care was putting additional strain on the care responsibilities of families. It's important, I think, to note that very few countries have elder care leave policies, and it's a big gap in our family policy portfolio. The public spending on families and family-friendly policies suffers chronic underinvestment, particularly in low-income countries. And the missing element in many of these profiles is social protection, maternity, paternity, universal child benefits, etc. And where there are policies, they're often disjointed, meaning family policies don't fit together and support is often incoherent. Importantly, family policy designs in many of the countries of the world do not follow the evidence base. What the best evidence tells us about how to manage family policies is not replicated in statutory public policies worldwide. The recommendations of the expert group called for greater integration and coordination between research and decision-making at policy level and professionals that work with families in the region, and highlighted the importance of incorporating a family perspective in the design and implementation of family policies overall. They called for more engagement and meetings with others to integrate different disciplines and different views on family issues to support this decision-making process. They called for better understanding of new family forms and how these can be integrated in public policy with designs to prevent discrimination against those family forms of which the children have no choice in the first instance. Child poverty and social disadvantaged contexts are significant issues in the region requiring social protection interventions such as the cash benefits. Evidence suggests that income poverty, extreme income child poverty in Mexico can be eradicated with a universal child benefit that pays at just 6% of average wage. Gender inequality persists, as I mentioned, and the final thing I want to say is that because of this persistent and pervasive social norm around gender inequality, it's important in the region and beyond that family policy designs incorporate gender equity as well as life course approaches and understand better the socio-ecological framework in which they contribute to the betterment of family and child well-being. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been really enriching discussion, but we do need to be mindful of the time. So next we have Mr. Roberto Ciambetti, President of the Regional Council of Veneto Region. You have the floor, sir.
Good morning, everyone. As President of the Veneto Regional Council and promoter the Venice Declaration with IFFD and its signatories, I am thrilled to seize the opportunity of UN Days and Renata Caciamasca to give an impetus on the anniversary years to effective strategies helping families and exchanges good practice. Climate change is widely regarded as one of the main factors contributing to increase in the frequency and severity of extreme weather events, including storms, floods, and phenomena of high water. This is the case of the Venice, a city that symbolizes the real risk that the nation and population living on the shores of the seas are facing. The Venice is expected to be particularly vulnerable to climate change. However, the complexity of the climate system and the challenges of climate change, as well as subsidence, makes it difficult to accurately assess the evolution of scenarios, including those related to the high water, phenomenon from which the city is exploited by the MOSE system. The MOSE, M-O-S-I, an acronym for Experimental Electromechanical Model, is a system for mobile dams to protect against high water. It consists of 4 barriers located to the harbor mounts in the Venice Lagoon, made up of a total of 78 independent mobile gates. They are engaged to the seabed on one side and moved by varying their bracing through to injection and expulsion for weather and air. The MOSE started in 2003, is completed in 2020, and made immediately operational with highly positive result. It's obvious this relative marine uplift of several decimeters in the near future will have a very substantial impact of transitional environments such as the coastal lagoon environments and induce major change in the coastal environments. We have to say, however, that 70 years, the MOSE will be obsolete and technically outdated. We have to start studying today what the technology can replace or improve it. We need to rethink the organization of city life, starting from the family with development on the circular economy and all those points that emerge clear in the Venice Declaration. It has been signed by hundreds of cities and regions promoted by the IFFD and the Veneto Regional Council, together with universities and important networks as a reflection and a contribution to achieving Goal 11 of the UN Agenda 2030. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Now we have Mr. Diosdado Marasigan, President of EduChild Foundation from the Philippines, and please play the video now.
as a member of the Asian region and also the director of the recent IFFD World Congress, which was shown in the video that was held in the city of Cebu in the Philippines in February of this year. These congresses highlight the global impact of our work and aim to disseminate knowledge and values in support of families across 68 countries. They serve as platforms for learning and exchanging experiences, fostering an international dialogue across diverse cultural contexts. The Congress in Cebu saw participation from 1,300 delegates from 40 countries spanning 5 continents. Additionally, it included the IFFD World Meeting of Family Enrichment Leaders and the World Congress of the Personal Project, alongside moderator training sessions. EduChild Foundation, as the founding member of the IFFD in the Philippines, where I serve as president, spearheaded the organization of these events. As they coincided with the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family, they provided a forum for delegates to reflect on and share experiences related to the megatrends identified by United Nations General Assembly for these milestones. Moreover, the United Nations was represented by the focal point on family of the Department of Economic and Social Affairs. We were honored to have Mr. Jose Enrique Garcia, the governor of Bataan Province, among our distinguished guests. Governor Garcia's commitment to delivering quality education, healthcare services, and fostering economic development for his constituents, coupled with the emphasis on parent-child communication and responsible social media use, stressing the crucial role of families in societal development. Aligning with the provincial government of Bataan's vision of achieving quality growth and empowered families by 2030, the EduChild Parenting Program in the province of Bataan has helped to guide parents in raising their children. Recent studies on this EduChild program show that students whose parents undergo the program showed improved school performance and grades. Communities where parents undergo the program experience a better and healthier environment due to the teaching of good behavior and manners to their children or family members. Furthermore, and I'm happy to report to this body that stemming from this effort is a legislation known as the Parent Effectiveness Service Program Act, enacted in June of 2022 by the Philippine Congress. This law acknowledges the paramount importance of family life, aiming to safeguard and fortify the family unit as a cornerstone of society. It also endeavors to uphold the rights of children, ensuring they receive proper care, nutrition, and protection from neglect, abuse, exploitation, and other adverse circumstances. In response to this legislation, the Parent Effectiveness Service Program has been established, catering to fathers, mothers, and caregivers, with a special focus on those facing vulnerable situations, such as children at risk, minors involved in legal conflicts, victims of violence, single parents, adolescent parents, and other caregivers. You know, in the Philippines, the significance of family life is deeply ingrained, with households often comprising extended family members. Family, as the cornerstone of Filipino culture, plays a central role in shaping individual identity and fostering social cohesion. The EduChild initiative, called Gabay Pamilya, highlighted during the Congress, demonstrates our dedication to assisting families in marginalized communities with customized parenting programs. Its primary objectives include establishing support networks for parents and equipping them with the skills to effectively guide their families, thus enabling them to more effectively nurture virtuous children. Since 2019, IFFD has invited civil society organizations worldwide to contribute to a civil society declaration, which has now come to fruition with the participation of numerous organizations. Contents of this declaration were integrated into the discussions at the IFFD World Congress, and we have entrusted the United Nations representatives with presenting it as the culmination of our deliberations. In conclusion, our gathering reaffirmed the critical importance of providing families with guidance and innovative solutions in navigating contemporary challenges. As the leading member of IFFD in Asia, EduChild Foundation is committed to spearheading initiatives that address the complex interplay between migration, urbanization, technology, demographic shifts, and climate change for the betterment of families worldwide. In pursuit of this goal, the concluding recommendations from the Asian Expert Group meeting, jointly organized by the IFFD, the United Nations, and the Doha International Family Institute, will offer invaluable guiding principles. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. And with that, I hand over to Alex Vasquez, a representative to the UN and Strategic Partnership Coordinator of IFFD on the Civil Society Declaration.
The expert group meetings, focus groups, and the input of 53 experts resulted in the most comprehensive and enriched civil society declaration on the family ever. With signatories from 38 civil society organizations representing 132 countries and countless families across all continents, the declaration aims to urge member states, the UN system, and academia to develop social policies from a family-oriented perspective. We're actually delighted to join fellow family advocates with whom we've dedicated years, all through the pandemic, to creating this declaration in anticipation of future endeavors such as the World Social Summit and implementing these recommendations in the further decade. Thank you.
Next, we have Madeleine Wallin, Secretary General of the European Federation of Parents and Carers at Home.
One of the mega trends is demographic shifts, and I will focus on two of the points in the declaration: early childhood development and unpaid care and domestic work. During the first years of life, brain development happens at a rapid speed. More than 1 million neural connections form every second, which lay the foundation for all future learning, behavior, and health. Experiences from this time impacts on the whole of adulthood, and therefore we cannot emphasize enough the urgency of investing more in the care children receive during these formative years. It must be prioritized if we want to shape the world into a more peaceful and sustainable home. Research on child development also shows the importance of attachment to primary caregiver during the sensitive first years. and new strategies must be designed based on today's level of knowledge, regardless of government changes and different ideologies. Children and their families must be prioritized in all decision-making. Unpaid care and domestic work has remained largely invisible in economic calculations, statistics, policy, and political discourse, and is commonly undervalued by society and policymakers, despite the fact that its monetary value is estimated at from 10 to 50% of GDP, according to Dr. Magdalena Sepulveda, who was the special rapporteur for the UN report, Extreme Poverty and Human Rights. Economic security must be strengthened throughout the life cycle, and unpaid caregivers seen as rights holders and given a voice in decision-making. Poverty shouldn't be the reward after a life spent caring for others. In order to make the care count and to make the inactive persons a part of the system, we redistribute the unpaid work and we force separations between children and mothers. If another woman cares for my child, it is suddenly valued. But if I do it myself, it's invisible. The question is, do we get the same outcome? Care is at the heart of society, and it has become increasingly evident, not least during the COVID-19 pandemic. Women often take the main responsibility for care, and it is time to value and recognize that, including through measurement and by using new and improved systems instead of GDP. A world resilient to future crises must put human beings and care at the center of all responses, starting with the most vulnerable. Thank you.
Thank you. And now, Ms. Regina Maroncelli Florio, President of the European Large Families Confederation.
Thank you. It's a great honor and opportunity to be here. In line with the mega trends of the declaration we are presenting today, ELFAC's European Network of Family-Friendly Municipalities held its 4th Congress in February on Digital Future, Family-Friendly Cities and the Challenges of Innovation, to explore the role of new technologies in promoting the well-being of families in local institutions and businesses. Municipalities presented applications for services and informations, so-called virtual info points, and educational activities for young and older people. We also discussed the opportunities offered by digitalization to promote work-life balance, such as flexible working hours, teleworking, and tailor-made social benefits. New technologies can be a blessing or a curse, depending on how and for what they are used. To overcome the multiple challenges, we should improve humanistic education and promote human values. By including new technologies in the Civil Society Declaration, we bring the family perspective to a young and rapidly changing phenomenon that is permeating our life and in many ways is making it easier. Families face a challenge of digital literacy, but should not be afraid of the apparent remoteness of new technologies and should not abdicate their role as educators within families. The declaration expresses the concerns and needs of families. We see the potentials, but we also see the risks of a technology that can enhance inequalities, affect democracy, and distance people from reality and relationships. That is why we demand the support and protection to which we are entitled under the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We call on governments to address the digital divide between family members, generation, communities, territories, and states, leaving no one behind. Ensure the use of new technologies for all family members as an investment in human capital. Promote the use of flexible and remote working so that parents can spend more time with their families. Let the family be the guiding star of development, and new technologies can truly represent a blessing for humanity. Thank you.
Thank you. And before closing, I would like to give the floor to the permanent representative of Hungary, Ambassador Horvath. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank, first of all, the UN DESA for organizing this event, which marks the 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. When it comes to family, it is really, really close to the heart of the Hungarian government. The International Day of Families has specific importance for us, and the anniversary gives us the opportunity to reflect on the past 30 years and define what we would like to achieve for families for the next generations to come. Our world has changed significantly, as we have heard here today, in the past 30 years, and the new generations are facing opportunities and challenges never seen before. Climate change, as outlined by the panel, as well as demographic change, migration, digitalization, are megatrends that impact families worldwide. And our role as member states is to adopt these changes in a way that responds to the needs and aspirations of families who play a fundamental role to play in the upbringing of new generations. As the panelists outlined, the adverse impact of climate change have a disproportionate impact on families who are already in a vulnerable situation and in times of crisis. It is most often the family that absorbs external shocks and provides a final layer of protection to its members. However, families should not be left alone with this vast responsibility. States have an obligation to support families in times of crisis and to build resilience in times of peace. This includes designing and implementing family policies that are evidence-based, inclusive, gender-responsive, and tailored to the different needs and priorities of families in different circumstances. The policies should provide the adequate time resources and public services for families to fulfill their important role, such as paid parental leave, quality, affordable, and accessible childcare, housing support, financial support for families in need, as well as policies that enable the integration of work and family goals, such as job protection for mothers during and after pregnancy and family-friendly workplaces, among others. Ladies and gentlemen, families have an important role to play in addressing climate change and passing on values and habits that contribute to the protection of our planet. Therefore, on the other hand, families should be actively involved in climate action. And on the other hand, children deserve education that enables them to become agents of change in their families in supporting environmental protection. This is true for all global goals. Families are a crucial entry point for the implementation of all SDGs. The eradication of poverty, reducing inequalities, achieving gender equality, and quality education are only possible if we work with families to provide a safe, healthy, and enabling environment for children to grow up, to become successful, responsible adults, and the agent of positive change. I thank you for your attention.
Well, this has been one big reunion. Please take the conversation beyond this room. See you in Hong Kong, see you in Doha, and happy International Day of Families, happy 30th anniversary of the International Year of the Family. Thank you all. Okay, we're going to do a family photo, please. So if you can, that way or this way? If we can all go against the wall back there. Thank you.